Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. I don't know what it's doing outside where you are, but right now that snow is really coming down outside. I was very shocked to see it snowing so heavily when I stepped outside just a few minutes ago. So I just want to give a minute or two to let people kind of matriculate in, and then we'll get started very shortly. For some reason, that light seems really bright. I don't know what the deal is. So we'll get started in just about a minute. Let's see. No, looks like we lost a few people. Hopefully we get them back. All right, why don't we go ahead and get started with a prayer? In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostri. Amen. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Okay. I have been, my whole week has been turned upside down. I started the week, I had set exactly what I wanted to go over, everything that I wanted to talk about, everything I wanted to investigate and research and write about this week. But oh no, Our Lady had other plans. What happened was I was putting together a dossier on a particular employee of Catholic Relief Services. See if I can find real quick for you because I can at least share with you this much. This person who works at Catholic Relief Services, let's see. This person who works at CRS, she there it is. Okay. I was, for whatever reason, I was going through some old information and I was following a lead, and this person I had reported on before. Let me show you the report that I'd put together on her before. There you go. You can see what I had talked about before with regard to this person. And the thing of it is that this woman, Kristen Weinauer, as I was, I don't know, I don't even know what I was looking at. I was looking at something, and her name came up for whatever reason. I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a look at her Facebook page and see what she's up to nowadays. And here's her Facebook page. Actually, I'll show you this in a second. So I wanted to know what she was up to, because there were certain things that were, you know, I'd found her promoting all sorts of terrible things before. If you look at her Facebook page in the article that I just posted, you'll see that she likes Bernie Sanders, she likes Barack Obama, she likes Elizabeth Warren. So all these pro-abortion, pro-homosexual individuals. You'll also see that she likes the National Organization for Women. So this person who works for CRS, very clearly in line with the Democratic Party. Well, what I found recently was this Facebook page. I don't know if you can see that. If not, let me know, and I will find another way of getting this to you. Let me see if I can do it another way. Let's see if I can do this. Can I post an image? No, I can't post an image. Well, if you can't see the image, I'll just tell you what. It's a picture of Donald Trump, and he's holding a cell phone. And it looks like Dr. Martin Luther King is putting his hand over Donald Trump's mouth and going shh like this. And what she says, I'm going to copy and paste this here. Okay, so you guys can't see it. All right. So it's a picture of Trump, and he's being shushed by Dr. Martin Luther King. This is a post by somebody who works for Catholic Relief Services. Well, here's what she said. I'm putting the quote right here. She said, register and vote in midterm elections. Contribute, organize, put Dems in office. Republicans can't check Trump properly. It's time to shut this carnival down. So somebody working at Catholic Relief Services is now actively and publicly calling for Democrats to be elected. And the Democrat Party, as we all know, is the party of death. I mean, they have made the abortion thing, they've made that a part of their platform. They've made contraception a part of their platform. They've made same-sex marriage a part of their platform. And they decided that they took God out of their platform entirely. So she is saying, we want to put in people who are politicians who follow a line of political thought that is completely anti-life, anti-family, and anti-Catholic. That's what she did. Well, as I was investigating what, like I said, I was looking into her and I thought, if she strongly promoted condom use in the article that I found, and you'll see, if you read the article, you'll see all the links and everything else where she was promoting condom use in various documents that she had been a part of. Well, I don't know why, but I thought, gosh, I wonder if she's written anything for CRS lately. And I ran her name through a search engine, and I found a document, a Catholic Relief Services document, that was promoting condom use in an oblique way, though. Let me put for you what the document is. Let me see here. Where is it? Here we go. Let me find it. So what it did, this particular document, oh, I know where it is. It is right here. Okay. Copy hyperlink and put it over here. So here's the hyperlink to this document. Now you can see right there, www.crs.org. This is a Catholic Relief Services document. Now, please, what we're going to share with you is all inside information right now. It's not something that's public. It is something that I will be making public shortly. I just need to put the report together. I spent all week researching and researching and researching. I pulled probably close to 100 documents off the internet related to a project that I just found. And as I was going through the information and reading all of this material, what's very clear is that Catholic Relief Services is the prime agency on a program that's being funded by USAID, and this program is pushing condoms. So anyway, this document, you can open the document in a separate tab if you like. But what I want to share with you about this document is that on page 8, there's a portion where it says the pathways are varied and relay a range of other variables, but in all cases, and this is talking about the risk of HIV and AIDS, says in all cases, violence appears to increase either exposure or impact from other risks, including increased risk of HIV exposure, infection, and impact. And along with that, there's this footnote. And the footnote says, in Kenya, Swaziland, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe, sexual and physical violence in children was linked to inconsistent condom use and increased number of sexual partners later in life. So, in other words, what this document is doing, it's lamenting inconsistent condom use. This is a Catholic Relief Services document, mind you. So it's only a footnote, but it's significant. Page 24 has something similar. It has a statement that's talking about the increased risk of HIV and AIDS. And then it has footnote 49, which again says sexual and physical violence in childhood was linked to inconsistent condom use and an increased number of sexual partners later in life. So they're consistently saying, not inconsistent or non-condom use is a problem. Well, then later on, the document makes a recommendation for a program. And the program is called Families Matter Program. And this is on page, let me see what page this is on. I did not cite the page. I didn't cite the page number, so I don't remember what page this is on. But what this report says, it says, while not a clinic-based service, the most potentially promising intervention currently being evaluated is the CDC-supported Families Matter program, which focuses on effective communication between parents and their children, ages 9 to 12, about sexuality and safety in romantic partnerships, which is a euphemism, and includes a model specifically focused on child sexual abuse. In the footnote, it links directly to the program. Okay, it links directly to a brochure that that gives a summary of what the Families Matter program is all about. And right there, right on the first page of the program, it says the program also increased effective communication about abstinence, HIV/AIDS, and condom use. So here we have this document, and this is what sparked the entire investigation. I kept looking at this document. I kept wondering, well, what is this? Why is this going on? Why are they mentioning condom use in this program? And as I was looking and as I was researching and reading and trying to figure out what all's going on here, I looked into the program itself, which is called, it's a long drawn out name. What is it? It's Coordinating Comprehensive Care for Children. And it's called 4Children, or the number 4Children, all one word. For short, that's the general term for it, 4Children, without having to say that longer title. So I wanted to find out what 4Children was, and I found on Catholic Relief Services website a number of documents that were all about this 4Children program, and they were all kind of on the tangent, all on the side, saying, okay, we're going to promote, try and fight sexual abuse and sexual violence against children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's all right there on the periphery. But as I started going through certain documents, I found quite a few actually that were promoting condom use. And let me see. I'm going to pull one here. All right, so there is one in particular that I want to share with you. Here we go. All right, copy this link and put this in the chat box. You can, nope, that one is going to go to my desktop. Let me see. Be able to open that one. It's, here we go. Copy hyperlink. And let's go here. Okay. This, let me just double check and make sure that this is the document I'm looking for. Yep, okay. This is the document I'm looking for. And here's the link. So you can open this up. Now, the first thing that I want you to do when you open this link, scroll all the way to the bottom. All the way to the bottom. And what you're going to see at the bottom, this document's completely in French. So there was this was not something that I was normally going to find. But what you're going to see at the very bottom is USAID, the USAID logo and symbol. Then you're also going to see the 4Children logo. So that's there. And then underneath are all the 4Children partners. You've got Catholic Relief Services there on the far left, Intra Health, Maestral, Plan International, which is an awful organization, and so forth. You're also going to see in French, and I'm not even going to try because if I do, I'll absolutely butcher it, but I will give you the English translation. In French, it says, or in English, it says, this curriculum was developed with the generous support of the American people through the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which is PEPFAR, and the U.S. Agency for International Development under the cooperation agreement, and it gives a number. The content is the responsibility of CRS and 4Children. Okay, so this content is CRS's responsibility. Remember that. That's important because if you jump down to page 69, okay, jump down to page 69, what you're going to see in French are 3 images and or a statement in French that basically translates into how do you prevent the transmission of HIV infections or HIV and sexually transmitted infections. Number 1, it shows a picture of a condom. And it says prevention la transmission sexuale, so prevention of sexual transmission. On the very next slide, it talks about the 3 ways that you can prevent sexually transmitted infections. Abstinence, bonne fidélité, which is being faithful or good faithfulness. And then it says préservatif masculin et féminin et bon usage, which means always using a male or female condom. That's what it means. So here we have a Catholic Relief Services document that is de facto promoting condom use. I found several other documents that were doing the same thing. I also found several pages where, so one other thing I'll explain to you about this whole situation. Like I said, I spent more than my fair share of this week poring over these documents. The other thing I want to show you here, Catholic Relief Services, as a part of this project, is responsible for this website, ovcsupport.org. If you go to their About page, what you will see is that this website was developed in 2004. The intent of the website was to be a resource database. And then over time, it was expanded to include updated technical content, news, and events. And then the website changed hands several times until it was eventually handed over to the Coordinating Comprehensive Care for Children project, called 4Children, under Catholic Relief Services in 2015. So in April of 2015, Catholic Relief Services took charge of this website. At the bottom of the page, it says, the library content does not necessarily reflect the views of 4Children and its partners. So right there, this is a red flag, because what it's saying is that there's going to be content on this website that is going to go against what we believe. Okay, it's an acknowledgement that this website that they're responsible for is going to be going against Catholic teaching. Then, if you go to the terms and conditions part of this website, you just click on terms and conditions, and it says 4Children is a consortium of agencies, including Catholic Relief Services, Intra Health, Maestral, PACT, Plan International USA, and Westat. CRS, as the prime agency of 4Children, only promotes programming that is in line with Catholic teaching. Any materials included on this site that promote activities not aligned with Catholic social teaching should not be interpreted as an endorsement of these activities. So now, this isn't just 4Children, the project, acknowledging that there are going to be things that are not in line with the beliefs of some of the partners, but Catholic Relief Services itself is now acknowledging, we know that this website has content that goes directly against our teachings. Here's the thing. If you read down through the terms and conditions, what you will see is that it says, this is a quote, 4Children, which is being run by CRS, 4Children reserves the right at its sole discretion to edit, restrict, or remove any content posted to the site, or to terminate the registration of any user for any reason. For any reason. So, at its sole discretion, 4Children reserves the right to remove content. This is broken. This whole mechanism is broken now because CRS has a disclaimer. Well, we have a disclaimer that says that anything on the content that disagrees with us, it doesn't necessarily reflect our views. But we reserve the right to remove anything that is offensive somehow. A different point in the terms and conditions, it says that some of the identified materials. So it says that. Here we go. So it says the terms and conditions page specifies that users will not post any content that is, quote, deemed inappropriate by 4Children in its sole discretion, which means that Catholic Relief Services, as the prime agency and manager of the website, could very well remove whatever it considered to be immoral, like condom use. Here's what some of the identified materials that would be prohibited from the website. So anything that promotes racism, bigotry, hatred, physical harm of any kind against any group or individual, if it contains nudity or violence or has offensive subject matter. So that's actually a quote too. Offensive subject matter, or exploits people in a sexual or violent manner. All of this is set under the terms and conditions. So any material that reflects any of that is prohibited. There's no mention of condom use. There's no mention of contraception. There's no mention of abortion. All of that would fall under the disclaimer. But if it's racism, well, that's prohibited. Here's where it gets worse. Because on this website is this document. And here is, I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. This document is called Basic Skills for Counseling Children. Remember, this is a document that's aimed towards counselors who would then be counseling children who are victims of sexual violence or abuse or anything along those lines. On page 17 of this document, there's a scenario. It presents a scenario to a counselor and just kind of walks them through, this is how you might want to approach something. And this scenario says, this is a quote, "A teenage girl is pregnant and not sure what to do." And then it presents a possible solution. Abortion is legal in South Africa, and there is a clinic nearby that can safely perform it, so she could have a safe abortion. And then, in this little exercise, there's an activity, and under the heading, step 4, helping the child choose the best solution for them. One of the given options is that is presented is have an abortion. So they lay out the scenario. They say, Voyokazi is a 15-year-old girl who comes to you for counseling because she is pregnant. She is scared to tell her family about the pregnancy because her mother told her that if she ever gets pregnant, she will kick her out of the home. She does not know where she should live and would have to quit school. Her boyfriend refuses to talk to her and says the baby is not his. So then it gives the scenarios. It gives the options. It says keep the baby, have an abortion, or put the child up for adoption. And then on page 20, it gets even worse because the manual actually instructs pro-life counselors to provide abortion as an option. It says this: ask yourself, do you think you have a better understanding of all the options and their impact? Pretend you are very strongly against abortions. Would you be able to give fair and neutral information to a child who wanted to have an abortion? It is important that a counselor is able to give all options within the law of your country, whether you agree with them or not. What might happen if you influence the child to make your decision of keeping the baby when they really wanted to have an abortion? And then they give possible answers. She has the child and is dependent on her for all its needs, but she has no resources and is forced to steal or prostitute herself. She has to tell her mother that she's pregnant and gets kicked out of the house, and so she has nowhere to live. She must quit school to take care of the baby. She never gets a job, and she and the baby live in poverty, etc. It is the child that has to live with the consequences of their decision, not you. Remember, your role is to help them make the best decision for them. So this document, which is teaching counselors that they need to give the abortion option to children, is allowed to be on a website that is run by CRS, and CRS has the stated ability and the stated responsibility to remove any content that it deems inappropriate for any reason. But then it has that disclaimer, oh, well, if it disagrees with church teaching, well, it doesn't necessarily reflect our views. There were, let me see, 143 documents that support condom use. There were 48 other documents that promote contraception. And I haven't really counted all the ones that promote abortion, but I know that there's a handful. So you have this document. You have all of these documents on a website being run by CRS that are promoting terrible things. And CRS is going to hide behind that disclaimer. We also have the CRS's own documentation that's promoting the use of condoms in these scenarios and in these situations. So there's another document. I'll just share with you one more. Let me get the hyperlink here. So here's another document, and you'll see this one again is stored at Catholic Relief Services website, its own website, crs.org. The document is titled, and it's in French, but I'll give you the English translation: National Protocol to Meet the Needs of Adolescents in Street Situation by the Study and Planning Directorate with project support. And again, on page 2, it says that the contents of this document are the responsibility of CRS for Children and the Ministry of Social Affairs. And once again, the condom promotion contained in this document is the responsibility of Catholic Relief Services. Throughout the document, it's clear that the promotion of condoms is important, but what sets this document apart from the rest is that it actually promotes condom use as a means of preventing pregnancy as well. So now we're not even just talking about condom use to avoid getting an STD or getting HIV and AIDS or whatever, but it's a document that specifically states that, hey, you can use condoms and avoid getting pregnant as well. Page 43, and again, it's all in French, so I'm going to give you the English translation. Page 43 says, even though it is not easy to stay healthy, you can do a number of things to stay as healthy as possible as you wash your hands before eating, try to avoid alcohol, glue, or drug, or then do it in safe places. So even here they're saying, well, if you're going to do drugs, do it in a safe place. Access to healthcare with support of an organization, if possible, and use a condom during sex to reduce the risk of sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV and pregnancies. There it is. And it's a CRS document. You can scroll all the way down to the bottom of the document, and what you're going to see is Catholic Relief Services, the 4 Children Project, all their logos and everything else. This is CRS's responsibility. This is their document. It's housed on their website. And Catholic Relief Service says, oh, no, we never promote condom use. We never promote all that stuff. But you do. You absolutely do. And this project proves it. Here's another one. And this one's probably the most egregious, or one of the most. Well, they're all bad. Here's another document. I'll share it with you. This is my my insurance policy, by the way. By sharing this information with you, I'm I'm making sure somebody's got it in case something happens to me, right? So this document is titled HIV Information Training Manual for Adolescent Girls and Young Women. If you go to the website or you open the document, you'll see right at the very beginning, 4 children, the logo 4 children at the top. You'll also see in the acknowledgments section, the training manual was developed by Xian Long, who is the Senior Technical Advisor on Violence Against Children for the 4 Children Project. So she's actually working for the 4 Children Project. The content was collectively developed with inputs from CRS Lesotho. And if you look at the bottom of the second page, you can see the little copyright symbol where it says Catholic Relief Services, all rights reserved. So this is Catholic Relief Services' document. It's theirs. So you look at that and jump to page 14, where it says, is this it's an exercise. So it's asking, is this activity a risk or no risk for getting HIV? So there are various scenarios. They'll show, like sitting on a toilet or hugging somebody or giving a kiss or something like that. And then one of them says vaginal sex without a condom. And then the answer that it gives on page 18. Okay, so this is a quiz. Do you think this is a risk or not? That kind of thing. On page 18, it says vaginal sex without a condom is indeed a risk, and then gives this explanation. Any sex can carry some risk unless both people know that they do not have HIV and are not having sex with anyone else. Used constantly and correctly, a condom is 98% effective at preventing HIV transmission. 98% effective. How is this not an endorsement? How is this not promotion of condom use? If you're going to sit there and say, you know what, you've got a 98% chance of striking it rich if you put $500 into this particular pot, do you think people are going to spend $500 for the 98% chance they'll make it rich? I think so. I think that anybody would be willing to take that risk. So if you're going to tell someone consistently 98% of the time you're going to do just fine, you're going to get away with whatever you want to do, you're going to have your own little hot, passionate fun, and there's a 98% chance that you'll come away without a problem. Most people without morals are going to take that risk. So this is absolutely promotion of condom use. There's no doubt about that. And then you go to another page, you go down to page 21, and it talks about HIV prevention methods and instructs the group coordinator to say, once someone has answered this question correctly, ask the group, do you know the 3 ways to reduce the risk of getting HIV from sex that are A, B, and C? ABC, abstinence, be faithful, and always use a condom. And Catholic Relief Services constantly tells the world we only do A and B. We only promote abstinence and be faithful. We never promote the C. This is a lie. This is a lie. This was copyright 2018. This is less than a year ago. And this program is after Catholic Relief Services said that they had cleaned up their act and they're going to fix everything and nothing is going to be going on. You know, we have a Catholic identity team, and all of this is we're improved. We're new and improved. We're better than we've ever been. So this is not a problem. Anything that may have seemed like we were promoting condom use or contraception or anything like that, all of that's in the past. It's all in the past. We're not a part of that anymore. That's Catholic Relief Services explanation. That's what they will say. Not true. This is 2018. This is less than a year ago. And this is after all of your new protocols and reforms and everything else. And they're still doing this. Anyway, so you're asking, what am I proposing is going to be done? I've put together a 14-page report on this. I'm going to be publishing this report, but I've also been in communication with Bishop Mansour. He is the current chairman of Catholic Relief Services. And I gave this information to him first because I have a good relationship with him. I believe he is a sincere man. I think that CRS routinely lies to him, and he has a tendency to believe what CRS tells him. But I do believe him to be sincere. And so I gave him the information first, and I said, look, I'm working this. I still have to work out all the kinks in this report. Here's the information. This is for your information, and to get to the bottom of it. Maybe he can get answers. Because I know that he is completely against condom use. I know that he's completely pro-life. He's a very good man. But I think he's a bit naive. And I'm hoping that this will open his eyes a little bit. Anyway, he has the information. He is going to be getting answers. And while he's doing that, I'm going to be polishing up this report. And I will be publishing the report on the 18th. Once the report is live, we'll be issuing a press release. There will be other organizations that I know will be piggybacking. I know that Steve Mosier over at Population Research Institute is looking over my information right now. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But Catholic Relief Services is currently asking pew-sitting Catholics for money for their Rice Bowl campaign, for their Lenten appeal. And as that's going on, I have an obligation. I told Bishop Mansour, I hope you understand, but people are asking about Catholic Relief Services. This information came up this week. I didn't go looking for it. It just came up. And I owe it to faithful Catholics to know what Catholic Relief Services is doing. If you have an explanation, I'll be more than happy to include it in the report, but the report will be published. So that's where we stand with that. Once the report's out, we'll see what kind of response I get from Bishop Mansour and the people at CRS, what kind of excuses they give. We'll see. We'll see. But I can tell you at least what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is publishing the report, and then depending upon how CRS responds to it, I will try to put together a letter for faithful Catholics to send to their bishops and say, look, here's why I'm not participating in CRS. And I ask you not to participate also. Because the only way that we're going to actually get anything done is if we get the good bishops off the bandwagon. Just get them to say, you know what, this has been an ongoing problem. You guys keep saying you fixed it, and it's not. It'll be published at the Lepanto Institute website. But I'll be sending out a press release, so it'll probably be talked about on various other Catholic publications as well, like LifeSite News and Church Militant and that kind of thing. Forwarded to Trump's Department of Health. This is just another liberal negative. Yeah, I could do that. I could definitely send it to Jay Sekulow, and you know, it would be nice if the government would just cut CRS out of its funding altogether. That would actually solve a large part of the problem. Because the reason CRS is such a problem is because it's enmeshed with USAID and PEPFAR. And I keep telling Bishop Mansour this. I said, look, until you extricate CRS from government funding, you're not going to fix this problem. The organization is addicted to government money, and the people that are drawn to CRS are looking for a nice big fat paycheck to do big fat liberal things. So until you get rid of the government funding, it's going to continue to be a problem. Don't you think that CRS would have, or does have, Pope Francis? Of course it does. I mean, you know, Pope Francis is his own Caritas Internationalis, which is run out of the Vatican, has members that are actively funding Planned Parenthood. Nobody does a thing about it. So this is not a problem that's going to be resolved in the Vatican. It's just not. The way it will be resolved is through faithful Catholics knowing, hey, I'm just not going to give money to this organization. You know, I'm not going to do it. And also making their friends and neighbors and family members aware that Catholic Relief Services is engaged in activities that are contrary to Catholic teaching, making their pastors aware of this, asking their pastor not to participate in the Rice Bowl and the General Catholic Collection or CRS collection, and also making sure their bishops are informed and getting answers from their bishops and saying, how can you possibly support an organization when it continues to do this kind of thing? It gets caught time and again, but it continues to fund and promote things that are intrinsically evil. How can you participate in that? And then tell your bishop, if it comes down to it, I'm not going to give you any money until you get out of this. That may be the only answer. Let's see. Pope Francis has a copy. Won't do any justice regarding this. Just sit back and watch CRS. Yeah. There you go. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on all week. Like I said, making this I was writing to my lead researcher, and we were going back and forth, and I said, oh, I just found this document. Oh, and this document, there's this project, and this project is actually pretty bad. And then I put my hand on my head and I went, oh crap. I said, this is not what I needed right now. I have other things I need to do. I didn't need to have this scandal just kind of tossed in my lap, but here it is. And you know, thank our Lord for it, because as reluctant as I was to dig into this, because I really did have other things that I need to work on. The fact of the matter is, this must have been something Our Lady wanted me to do. So the way things have come together, and the way she always operates, she hands me things and she says, okay, here's your next assignment. And well, I took this one reluctantly, but it's certainly borne out. So there's that. The other thing I've got for you this week, I don't know if you saw it yet or not. Let me pull up the article. Here it is. I published a report. Stop me if you've heard this one. I published this report just yesterday, and what we've got is another article on the Campaign for Human Development and the kind of organization that it's funding. And the reason that I publish these, and believe me, I mean, after a while, it just kind of drones on. Most faithful Catholics look at it and go, yeah, I know, it's bad. Throwing your hands up in the air and saying it's bad and I'm not going to give, that while it's good, is not good enough. The only way that we're actually going to make anything happen is if we take these reports and we send them to our bishop and we say, Your Excellency, how can you participate in this collection when it consistently is giving money to this organization and organizations like it? And then sending letters to or emails and communications to the Campaign for Human Development itself and saying, we need answers. Why are you giving this money? How did this get past your vetting process? The vetting process that you promised everyone in 2010 was stricter and tougher and tighter and easier for us to make sure that we're only funding groups that are in line with church teaching, which never happened. But that's what they say. You give the information to them and you demand answers. And you say, I want to know why you're funding this group. I want to know what you're going to do about this group now that you know what they're doing. I want to know when you're going to get your money back. They'll never answer those questions because they never do. They give a boilerplate response about how, oh, we're looking into it. And then they come back and say, we looked into it and found that they weren't really in violation of church teaching. This is just that Lepanto Institute and Michael Hitchborn who are, they're muckrakers who were just trying to cause trouble. This, nothing to see here. That's the script they always read from. But what'll happen here is the more we get responses from CRS, from CCHD, we can put those responses next to the reports that we put together, the reports that we find. Those reports need to fall into the laps of good bishops, your bishop, okay? Every time you get a report like this, every time you see something that calls into question how Catholic funding is being used, the bishops have got to hear about it. They've got to hear about it, they've got to hear about it, and they've got to hear about it again. And you just keep putting that information in front of them and demanding answers, saying, Your Excellency, I don't understand why we're giving money to this group when this group is doing this. That's the general question. He will probably have the bad ones, or at least the weak ones, will use the CCHD's boilerplate responses, whatever they are, whenever they come out. In the meantime, you can continue to educate your pastors, you can continue to educate your bishop, and just keep the pressure on, because eventually there will be so much information out there that the bishop won't be able to deny it anymore, and he'll have to say, you know what, enough is enough. At least the good ones will. The liberal bishops don't care, and unfortunately there isn't much we can do about that. But you continue to put the information out. You continue to educate people. You continue to make sure that your family, friends, and relatives, they all know where the money's going, and the ones that disagree with how that money's being used, they'll stop funding too. And so these are just the little ways that we can actually apply a little bit of pressure to move the misuse of funds away from these groups that are just fighting against the church. So that's one thing. The other thing that we absolutely must do is just constantly pray and sacrifice on behalf of the church, specifically your bishops, specifically your priests. You should always be praying for your bishop, even if it's Cardinal Cupich, even if it's Cardinal Tobin or Cardinal Farrell, or even if it's Archbishop Rembrandt Weekland, for that matter, who came out as a homosexual himself. He needs prayers too. I mean, he's not dead yet, so he hasn't met his judgment. But, these are the people who are on the cusp of hell. How many times have we heard the road to hell is paved with the skulls of priests and lit by the lampposts of burning bishops? That's the road to hell. They need our prayers. They need our sacrifices. And of course, Lent is a perfect time for us to do that too. So pray and fast, especially now during Lent. Pray and fast for your bishops, pray and fast for your priests, and then keep people informed. Because those are the only tools we have. So let's use them. Let's use them and use them well and use them consistently. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy for us to just say, no one's doing anything. Nothing's going to happen. Oh, well, at least I'm doing my bit. But if our bit is just not donating to those things, it's not enough. We do have to pray for those people. We do have to pray for those involved. And we also have to maintain the pressure and the information and everything else. That's all we have to do. This has inspired me to do some research on CAFOD. I've done research on KFOD. KFOD's a huge problem. When I started looking into the Millennium Development Goals, when did I start doing that? I guess back in 2012, 2011 or 2012. I found KFOD was particularly pushing the Millennium Development Goals, and the Millennium Development Goals are awful. I mean, they're pushing contraception, abortion, the whole gamut. Not to mention the fact that they're socialist anyway. But KFOD they are definitely connected with some very unsavory groups. If you find anything that you think I should look into with regard to KFOD, I am more than happy to divert resources to start digging into them, because like I said, I did research on them in the past. Excuse me. I haven't done any research on them lately, but I think that they are definitely worth looking into. So we've got a few minutes left. I've said everything that I was ready to say for today. So if you have any questions, or if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, free for all. Let's just have a free for all here. Awesome, very good. Okay, so Jane, I see that you're ready to start knuckling down on KFOD. That's awesome. Very good. Trocare in Ireland is also a problem. I remember Trocare was also pushing for the Millennium Development Goals. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Trocare and KFOD are both a part of this collective organization called CIDSE. CIDSE. Okay. I just put it in the chat room. And CIDSE is it's super liberal. That agency is trying to create something called global governance. We're still doing a ton of research on CIDSE and Caritas Internationalis and this push for global governance. It's become a much larger project than we expected, but it's worth the research. It's worth the time that we're putting into it, and because it's not time sensitive, we can devote more time to it than to something like this CRS project. But yeah, CIDSE is a problem. KFOD, Trocare, yep, absolutely. Any Caritas group is automatically suspect as far as I'm concerned. So is there anything anybody else would like to talk about? Anything you'd like to hit upon? I do know one person asked a question. Let me see. Sent me a question earlier. Would you like to comment on this quote from a TFP article by Luis Sergio Solimio? And the excerpt is this. It says, let us quote an excerpt from this work by St. Robert Bellarmine. Quote, the Pope, manifestly a heretic, ceases by himself to be a Pope and head of the Church, in the same way as he ceases to be a Christian and a member of the body of the Church. And for this reason, he can be judged and punished by the Church. This is the opinion of all the ancient fathers, who teach that manifest heretics lose immediately all jurisdiction. So here's where you have a catch-22. The Pope cannot be judged. If a sitting Pope becomes a manifest heretic, he ceases to be the Pope. Therefore, no longer the Pope, he can be judged. So the logic goes. But who has the authority to determine that a sitting Pope is guilty of heresy? Because even if he has lost the Petrine office by virtue of professed and open heresy, even if that has happened, it has to be formal heresy. It can't just be material heresy. Okay, material heresy is a situation where, well, I'll use a recent example: the Abu Dhabi statement that Pope Francis signed. And in the Abu Dhabi statement, he signed with an imam, and he said that God wills the. Oh, I'm going to butcher this quote. Let me see. Pope Francis. Abu Dhabi statement. Here we go. So in the document, it says the pluralism and the diversity of religions, color, sex, race, and language are willed by God in his wisdom through which he created human beings. That is a manifestly heretical statement, because what you're saying is that God willed a lie. He willed people to believe a lie with his active will. As we know, there are two aspects to the will of God. You have the active will, you have the passive will. The active will is where God says, fiat lux, let there be light. I will that there be light. I create it. I desire and will that light come into existence, and therefore it is made. Okay, that's the active will. The passive will is what happened in the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve, his will was that Adam and Eve would preserve their integrity and not sin. But they did sin, and he permitted them to sin. So sin and death entered the world because God allowed it to happen. And this we call his passive will. Nothing can happen in any situation that is not the will of God. Okay? So the passive will allows this to happen. The active will says he desires it. So what Pope Francis signed in that document gives the strong impression, not just the strong impression, the language says the pluralism and the diversity of religions, ... are willed by God in his wisdom, through which he created human beings. That is a statement which claims that God's active will desired the plurality of religions, that the plurality of religions came about because of God's active will. Manifest heresy. Okay. Formal heresy requires a trial, because a formal heretic is given an opportunity for correction. He is told what you said was heretical, and it must be corrected. So that statement being heretical, Bishop Athanasius Schneider, I don't know if you saw this article. This came out. Let me post a link. Bishop Athanasius Schneider just had his ad limina visit in Rome with Pope Francis. And after his ad limina visit, he met with a reporter at LifeSite News, Diane Montaigne. She's very good. And in that conversation, Bishop Schneider very pointedly and specifically talked about that particular problem. I'll read you just the passage that's pertinent here. He said, let me see where it is. So the question was, can you say more about how Pope Francis responded to your concern about the Abu Dhabi statement on the diversity of religions? The controversial passage reads, quote, I already read you that quote. So this is what Athanasius Schneider said. He said, on the topic of my concern about the phrase used in the Abu Dhabi document, that God wills the diversity of religions, the Pope's answer was very clear. He said that the diversity of religions is only the permissive will of God. He stressed this and told us, you can say this too, that the diversity of religions is the permissive will of God. So, but you're right, that's why he won't answer the dubia too. So what he did is he just covered his six, okay? he was confronted with a statement that he put his name to, which has very much the appearance that, in fact, the grammatical structure does indeed indicate that it was the active will of God that by which the plurality of religions came about, which is heretical. And Pope Francis, in this odd meeting, told Bishop Schneider not only is he talking about the permissive will of God, which changes the grammar, but what can you do about that? It's like saying I meant to say ... Okay, so he meant to say the good thing, not that he meant to say the bad thing, which covers him. It covers him from guilt of formal heresy, and yet the document remains. And so this is why we have to be very, very careful about setting ourselves up as little mini magisteriums. And you're right, he is a Peronist. Okay, as a Peronist, he's going to tell people what they want to hear. It can't last long. Eventually, either our Lord is going to judge him and things are going to go very poorly, very quickly, or he's going to get caught in his string of Peronisms and eventually get exposed in such a way that he will find himself in a situation of formal heresy, or he'll convert. That could happen too. I'm not going to leave it out of the realm of possibility. But the fact of the matter is it possible for a pope to lose the Petrine office by virtue of becoming a formal heretic? Yes. Has that happened? No. We can say that he has said things that are materially heretical, but we cannot say that he is a formal heretic. Not only do we not have the authority to do so, but the proper formula has to be followed. You have to follow the proper formula that says Pope Francis has fallen into material heresy because he refuses to correct what he had said or done. Okay? So that's why I will not say that he's a heretic. I refuse to actually go into that, because if I make that judgment, I take it upon myself to judge the head of the church. I'm setting myself up to be judged very, very harshly at the end of my life. I will not do that. And I hope you don't either, because that's extremely dangerous. Not going to go there. The other question that somebody sent me, and this was regards to the CCHD, is if I would put together a, you're welcome, is if I would put together basically a form letter or a sample letter regarding the Campaign for Human Development and the recent findings that we've had with it. And the answer is yes. So next week, what I'll do, one of the things I'll work on is putting together a basic letter that outlines the most recent discoveries with the Campaign for Human Development. And I'll put together a letter that you can put your name to and send to your bishop. I'll also make sure that there's a link to the addresses of all the bishops in the country, so you know exactly where to send it. And that's it. So I'll put that letter together, and you'll be able to have that. So we are out of time. Yeah, Pope Francis's modus operandi. It's extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating. Say what you mean what you say. My grandmother pounded that into my head. Say what you mean and mean what you say. We do not get that from this pontiff, unfortunately. Anyway, we are out of time, and so I need to close up, and I will see you all next week. If there's anything that you would like to discuss or any burning topics, please go ahead and email them to me. If I've been a little light on responding to emails lately, it's because I'm playing catch up big time. But I will respond. And anything that you send me with regard to topics for next week, I will definitely try to cover. So why don't we go ahead and close with a prayer? In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostri. Amen. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. God bless you all. I will see you all next week.